there, great to have your company. Welcome to Ticker Climate. My name is Holly Stearns. It's great to have you tuning in. Now on Ticker Climate, we tackle the climate crisis facing our planet and we examine what actions governments and corporations need to take. Now each week we speak with key movers and the shakers as well. My co-host Scott Hamilton is a climate change and energy expert, and Scott is an author, researcher and policy advisor with a mission to tackle the big issues and accelerate climate change action. Now Scott joins me live now. Welcome to you, Scott.
Hello Holly, how are you? Great to be here again.
Great to have your company as always. Now let's get right into it. Now our guest tonight is entrepreneur Alex Hewitt. Now he is a leading innovator in the renewable energy development space right across Australia and also Europe. His company CWP Global has clean energy assets across Australia and Europe worth over $4 billion, with one clear mission in mind: investing in a sustainable future. And Alex joins us live now. Welcome to you.
Great to have you on Ticker Climate, Alex. We're thrilled to have you here because we want to hear about the work that CWP Global's doing in terms of building the world's biggest power station in the Pilbara and helping make this country a renewable energy exporting superpower. So can you tell us about the Asian Renewable Energy Hub, Alex?
Oh, with pleasure. Yeah, the Asia Renewable Energy Hub, AREH for short, it's a very large hydrogen hub project in the northwest of Australia, just north of the Pilbara. Look, it's a journey that we started on back in 2015 when we recognised the opportunity in the area, which is very windy and extremely sunny, of course. And at that stage, we were looking at the proximity to our northern neighbours, Indonesia and Singapore, to take a cable up there. By 2017, however, we were getting very entrenched with the exciting opportunity of green hydrogen, which basically what you need is really, really cheap electricity to put through an electrolyzer to then split hydrogen and oxygen, H2O, which is water. So you take the hydrogen from the electrolysis and that of course is an energy source. And then you go into a more transportable energy source, which is ammonia, by adding nitrogen from the air.
That's really great, isn't it? It's amazing stuff.
So how many jobs and all of that are you hoping to come from this kind of massive project?
It is a massive project, yeah. I mean, the overall price tag at the end of this will be around about 36 billion US or 50 billion Australian dollars. It'll take at least 10 years to build. I think the job numbers are around about the 20,000 number. Not to mention the indirect jobs, of course. A project of this scale gives a great opportunity also for manufacturing. For example, we will be putting in place about 1,800 of the world's largest turbines on the site and 120 square kilometres of solar, not to mention 14 gigawatts of electrolysis. All of this provides a great opportunity also for manufacturing in Australia. And the ripple out effects of a mega project like this are tremendous.
Absolutely. It's just amazing numbers and huge scale, Alex. That's really terrific. And I see that you've also joined a group called the Green Hydrogen Catapult, which have got some of the biggest companies in the world and trying to get a 50-fold scale up or something of that order, Alex. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, that's the ambition. So we're the only Australian company there. There are 6 other companies which have become the founders of this initiative, which has also been sponsored by the Climate Change Champions, which are behind the COP26 in November, which is the climate change talks. The idea is simply to collaborate, to get together, to work on technology, approaches, financing, partnerships, in order to get towards the scale that's necessary. If we just take a quick snapshot of pricing at the moment, hydrogen's not quite there. It needs scale. We need to scale up very fast. And by working with these other huge companies across the world, we will collaborate to work towards getting that the very large scale that's necessary to drive the price down.
Yeah, incredible. Can you just elaborate a little bit for us about those larger corporations that you'll be doing work with?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's Iberdrola from Spain, one of the largest renewable companies in the world. Snam, the Italians, the companies from the US and China, Envision, Denmark, one of the largest ammonia manufacturers in the world, Yara, Ørsted, the big Danish offshore wind company, big Saudi company. That's basically it. We're a small team. We're actually adding, well, small in number, but large in gravitas. Further partners will join, and we have a series of targets throughout the year leading up to COP26.
Yeah, it's a fantastic work that you're doing. I've got a question for you. We had, the federal budget released last week here in Australia, and obviously it was heavily criticised for not doing enough when it comes to climate change. What do you think, in your opinion, the federal government potentially could have done more to accelerate these sorts of projects from a business perspective? What would you have liked to see in there?
There's a lot. I think, but fundamentally, just stepping back, they should genuinely embrace the opportunity that Australia has to be a true energy superpower through renewables. I mean, we've done very well off coal. We're still doing very well off gas, but we can be exporting masses of amounts of energy by using our cheap renewable resources. For example, just this one project, Asia Renewable Energy Hub, we'll be looking at $5 billion per annum of export potential. So, look, stop fighting against it. Stop being the laggard and be the leader. Embrace the opportunity. It's huge. And there are many ways which they can help. And I'm sure the government can figure out how they can help, and other industries are lobbying now. It's just a matter of seeing that wonderful opportunity that we have and genuinely getting their shoulder behind it.
Well, we know the federal government is now subsidising more fossil fuels, $2 billion for 2 oil refineries. Now, that's just news coming out today. What exactly are they doing for you?
We haven't asked for anything just yet. The Western Australian government have been tremendously supportive of the project. The Commonwealth government have granted us major project status and are trying to help with the various departments to coordinate the fast tracking of the necessary approvals and what have you. We still have to go, of course, through due process for environmental and social impact, etc. But this is a long haul, and we have another 4 years to go to financing. But I think there's a lot of opportunity where the government can assist, because this is a new industry, and new industries, the challenge is getting those first offtake agreements. Personally, I've been up and back to Japan quite a bit not over the last 12 months, but prior to that. We've got people overseas in Japan and Korea working, but these governments overseas and the big off-takers are looking towards Australia to say, you start there, get some domestic offtake, show your support. So whatever the government can do to help with the domestic offtake would be very helpful.
So one of the things last week, Alex, at the Smart Energy Council's conference in Sydney, we saw the state of Victoria mentioning state governments commit to the Smart Energy Council's zero certification.
I'm sorry,
scheme.
Scott, the sound's gone. Can't hear you.
Sorry, Alex, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sure. So last week at the Smart Energy Council's conference in Sydney, we saw the state government of Victoria commit to being a founding partner, which, along with your company, of the Zero Carbon Certification Scheme. Just how important is that scheme for businesses like yours?
Oh, it's tremendously important, Scott. I think you know a lot of this stuff, but for your listeners, hydrogen can come in various forms. You can have grey, blue, green, various different colours. The grey hydrogen is produced today from steam methane reforming from gas, so it's a fossil fuel derived hydrogen with very high emissions. Blue hydrogen, in theory, is the same production, except they sequester the carbon, and then green hydrogen is made from renewable energy through electrolysis. But at the end of the day, you can't tell the difference. So you need a certification scheme to be able to chase the carbon emissions from the production of the hydrogen. So when we're doing an offtake, for example, to a big client in Japan, they will want to know that they have genuine emissions-free hydrogen on the tanker coming towards them. And to give them that assurity, we need a certification scheme. And there are a couple of other initiatives going around the world. The Smart Energy Council is leading the way on a certification scheme in Australia, and we fully support it, as it's a foundation for this new business.
That's really fantastic. It's really terrific to see that happening.
I suppose just on a more personal note, Alex, what advice would you give to budding startups or entrepreneurs that are looking to get into the clean energy space? Like you've been doing it for 20 years now, and you've got $4 billion worth of assets around the world.
Yeah, tell us your secrets, please.
Please do.
Look, it's a lot of hard work, of course, but look, courage, patience, and faith in yourself, all those good things. I mean, first of all, renewables. Yes, go and do it right now. The energy transition that the world is going to be going through in the next 2 decades will be enormous. Absolutely enormous. The scale of this is immense, and we haven't seen anything yet. So it's a great opportunity. With anything with regards to startups and entrepreneurship, fully supported, of course. It is a wonderful ride. It is a wild ride. You will go through ups, you will go through downs, but if you fundamentally have the right ideas and the drive and the passion, you will make it. It always takes a little bit longer than you hope, but stay with it and stick with it, and you will be a great success.
Alex, I think you're living proof that we can, save our planet and get into renewables, but also that doesn't have to come at a cost of economic growth. You can also have economic growth and create job opportunities at the same time. Alex, thank you so much for your time on this. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Holly. It has been a pleasure.
See you, Alex.
Cheers, Scott. Bye-bye.
Alex Hewitt there. Well, now there's a new subsidy from the Australian federal government as well for fossil fuels, Scott. Now, can you just tell us a little bit more about this? We're just going to keep talking about a few trending stories that are happening at the moment.
Sure, Holly. So the federal government's really got itself in a bind. So currently, we've only got about 18 days of diesel fuel supplies, which means if there was a major event around the world, and we're seeing quite a number of them at the moment, it means that we'd be really in the bother. So rather than investing in new technologies with electric vehicles and green hydrogen, like we heard Alex talk about, what the government's doing is giving $2 billion to prop up oil refineries here in Australia, which is sort of like investing in Blockbuster when we should be investing in Netflix.
Yeah, how does this make sense? I just don't understand where we're falling behind. What's the hidden message here? I don't understand. It's like everyone else can see it, but we still keep making these decisions.
Yes, Holly, it's sort of very much that Malcolm Turnbull was talking about last week, that we simply don't have a plan. We don't have a plan to make the transition, which means our businesses and our communities are going to suffer. And this is really just adding more money into fossil fuels rather than into cleaner fuels. And that's really what the UN has been saying, that we need to stop subsidising fossil fuels. We need to be investing in cleaner fuels, power fuels like green hydrogen.
And that's what we were just sort of talking about with Alex as well, as it's not a choice between saving our planet and jobs and economic growth. You can have both in balance. So you can have job growth and you can have economic growth, but also be environmentally friendly as well. And I think it's just about finding that balance, but it seems disappointing that Australia keeps falling behind in this regard. Now, on a bit different note now, over to Singapore, we know that they're getting creative with its solar. They're actually betting on floating solar farms and vertical panels. What do we know?
Yeah, so this is
Another one of our Asian neighbours, and we know that Singapore is like the centre of the economic part of Asia, and it is aiming to triple its amount of solar in the next 5 years. However, being Singapore, it has a problem in terms of lack of land space. So it's getting to do some really cool things. It's looking at floating solar. So there's these amazing areas of water which they're actually putting solar panels on. Like some of them are 45 or 50 football fields, but it's a way of getting around the problem of not having much space. But they're really getting into the innovation area, and again, it's these countries are showing the lead.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really, really great to see, and not surprised that that was in Singapore. It's very, very innovative. Now, in some sad news in regards to climate change, the mountain pygmy possum, is that right? And I'm pronouncing that right?
Yes,
Yep. Now, they're actually under extinction, which is really, really sad, and it's all because of climate change.
So this small cute animal is one of the ones which is under real trouble. So it actually lives in alpine areas in places such as Mount Hotham and the Snowy Mountains, and it actually needs the snow because of where it gets its warmth from when it hibernates. However, the problem with climate change, and if we don't turn this around, there won't be snow on our Alps by 2050. Now that's bad for the skiers and people that like to go skiing, but more importantly, it's bad for the pygmy possum, and that's a real worry. And that's again one of the big challenges we've got ahead of us.
With precious animals like this, are there any other animals that we might know that might be familiar to us that are under threat as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, as it happens, Holly, the bogon moth, which is actually a food source for the mountain pygmy possum, is also under threat. And I think it was a year ago or so where they had a season they had very low numbers, and a lot of the scientists that work in this space were actually very worried about it. And I suppose the other message is that as we are getting into dangerous climate change, there's going to be more species that are threatened and more species become extinct. And that's a real worry, and we need to make sure that our governments are investing properly and making sure they're putting it on the top of their budget tables, not the bottom.
And until then, we will keep talking about it here and talking about these important issues on Ticker Climate as always, because it needs to be spoken about in our conversations. Scott, that's all we have time for today on Ticker Climate. Thank you so much for your time as always, Scott. It's a pleasure to speak with you every single week.
No worries, Holly. See you next week.